We're less than a year out from the midterm elections, and CBS News is continuing to follow the battle over redistricting that should shape the balance of power next year. Last week, you'll remember California passed Prop 50 to redraw its congressional map, which could potentially add up to 5 Democratic seats. Several states have recently adopted redistricting measures, too, in an effort to maintain a Republican majority in the House. CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, joins us now for more. So, Anthony, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so you see the breakdown. You mentioned California plus 5 potential Democratic seats, right? And that, folks will recall, was meant to counter Texas's plus 5 potential Republican seats, okay? Now, you've got these developments lately where there could be another Democratic seat out of Utah after a ruling there, and there could be a couple of Republican seats, maybe 2 or more, if Ohio goes ahead and redraws its districts. On the other hand, last week we saw elections in Virginia. Democrats did very well. They could maybe find 2 more seats for the Democrats in Virginia. Overall, you start to see a theme developing here, which is that this could end up being a wash, right? It could end up where each state, given the control that each party has in that state, could affect some redistricting changes. And the other thing to show you is, look at the proportions of the partisan breakdowns of the states and then the number of seats that their party holds. And what you'll see is that there's often more seats held than the partisan break. So here's California's as it stands now. That's going to go higher. Texas's, that proportion is going to go higher. And I can do that in state after state. So Ohio, I mentioned, 55% Trump, but they could control even more as a proportion of their House seats. What that is, that's gerrymandering, right? And that's the difference between gerrymandering and redistricting. As folks are sort of following this at home, they're gaining even more potential seats based on their control of the process. And I'll show you Virginia just to show you a Democratic example. 52% in the last presidential. This proportion of seats held could go higher still. That's what this all means.
Is the idea that these 2 numbers should be as close to each other as they can be?
Well, it's a measure of gerrymandering, and folks will argue this point about whether it should be, and others will say, no, this is the will of the people, and that's what they're electing in their districts, because remember, most partisan folks just vote for their party back in. I will add this, though. None of this is a guarantee, Lindsay, and it's so important because, look, even we saw last week in New Jersey, a lot of Hispanic voters voted for the Democrat, but a lot of them voted for Trump last time. In all of these districts, there are assumptions being made about how voters will behave, and if they change from past patterns, then all of this could be different than what the regular partisan breaks might say.
Interesting. As always, Anthony Salvanto, thank you.
Thanks.